There we go. Now I'm actually recording things. Hello, everybody. Hopefully you guys are having a wonderful Saturday. So firstly, thank you everybody for showing up today. Hello, stranger. Thank you everybody for showing up today to it's technically our second community meeting, but it is our first official community meeting since launch. So we're about a month past launch. We've been up and running since I believe the last weekend of February, first weekend of March, something like that. I forget exactly. My timeline is horrible, but regardless, the 8th. There we go. I've been corrected. But welcome everybody. We're going to be going over a collection of discussion points that the staff team has been collaborating on for about a week, actually a week plus. And we're going to talk about some things that we'd like to talk to you guys about. And then Riggsy has some things he's going to talk about. And then we're going to have our Q&A at the end of the meeting. If you guys have not submitted a form already using the form link, please feel free to do so between now and when we start that section of the meeting. Once we start the Q&A, we're going to close the form, so you guys can't be like spamming us when we're trying to actively answer you. So if you guys do want to get any last-minute questions in that can be read at the end of the in the community meeting, please do that now. The link is still up in the whitelist announcements channel. If you guys want, we can post it in the meeting questions as well. You guys should have access to that. You guys are also free to put in questions in the community meeting questions chat. It is just below the chat you guys are currently in. Those obviously aren't going to be following the same format as the Google form, but you guys are able to do that if you guys would like. Okay, so sorry, just bouncing around doing a couple things. Yep, thank you, Kai, for posting that. Yes, and Tyrope has the correct channel. So if you guys have last-minute questions that you do not want to use the form for, that you're okay just having basically your name being out there with the question, that's totally cool. The names on the Google Forms will not be read. We obviously know who they are, but we will only read them if you indicate that you want your name read. That being said, let's go ahead and dive right in. So the first thing that we want to talk about with you guys is we want to show our appreciation to you guys as a whole. You guys have been amazing since we've launched the server. You guys have been blowing us away with the level of roleplay you guys have been bringing to the server, the stories you guys have already been starting or knee-deep involved in. Those of you guys who've been starting groups and bringing players into that role play and not just turning it into a clique or turning it into, sort of a standoffish sort of group. You guys have been very good at spreading role play and encouraging others to join you and just spreading it around the server as a whole, which is amazing. I personally have loved seeing you guys call for cabs. The fact that we actually have an active cab scene on the server is kind of amazing, and I love it. I know that the other staff feels the same way, so good on you guys for that. Going to the restaurants and encouraging the business in the game, in the server, working with LEOs and EMS, awesome. Please keep it up. Don't be afraid to go out and meet new people if you haven't already been doing that, or if you're new to the server. Please don't be afraid to go to little events that pop up, or go and visit businesses, or call a cab, or any of that sort of stuff. We want roleplay to be spread around and you to have interactions with as many players as you guys can. The next, so moving on from the praising you guys, we'll go ahead and move into the next section. So crime and getting caught. So obviously criminals themselves don't want to get caught. Shocker. But from a roleplay standpoint, a lot of roleplay comes from the interaction you get from either getting rolled up on by another crew or getting rolled up on by cops. It's part of being a criminal, is part of knowing how to interact with those cops. Obviously, if you're playing something like a mafioso or you're playing like a syndicate or something like that, obviously you're going to be a little quieter than, say, like a street gang or an MC. But if you are playing like a street gang member or an MC or like a punk character or something like that, someone who's going to be loud and proud and somebody who's going to be, stirring up a ruckus, it's okay to get caught. In fact, we encourage it. You're not going to get, screwed over. You're not going to be burned just because you get arrested once or twice, especially if you are, low level, like I was dealing weed or I stole a car or something. Like, it's okay to get caught. There's nothing wrong with that. Obviously, we're not telling you guys to hand yourselves over to the cops on a silver platter, but it is okay to take those losses. We want there to be an active scene of criminals who have a reputation, who are known for various acts and deeds. It also, even if you get caught for something that you're like, wait a minute, this doesn't feel right, handle it in character. We've already actually had, I think, at least three cases I'm aware of where somebody's been mischarged in character, and rather than just going, oh, we'll just fix it out of character, we actually have a DOJ scene that's already been picking up because of that. We've had several cases of we had one bench trial that I was not prepared for, nor did I know what was happening. We've had several like ticket-based court cases where people have been compensated for their mischarge and had it removed from their case file. We already have an active DOJ presence. You have no idea how exciting that is to us as staff, that we already have a active DOJ presence right out the gate. Successful appeal. We've had a bench trial. We've had a lot of stuff already, and it's amazing. We don't even have a courthouse yet, guys. We don't even have an interior for a courthouse. We already have DOJ. So please don't be afraid if something happens in character. Obviously, if something is an out-of-character violation, please bring it up to us as staff. But if it's in-character thing of being mischarged and it was confusion, first off, allow some grace, allow some compassion to the players who are playing cops. We have a lot of people coming into the server who are new. We have a system that is new, and it's a lot of learning for the cops as well as learning our penal code. So mistakes are going to happen, but try to handle it in character as much as you can. If it can't be, bring it to staff and we'll help you guys out. But if it's an in-character thing, handle it in character. The other side of this coin is lack of visible crimes. If you're always being super careful, if you're only doing crime in the off hours, or if you guys are trying to avoid cops at all costs, that affects the cops side of things, and cops will then get bored or not want to participate, and then they'll log off. Now, obviously, we don't want that to happen, but that is a side effect of very, 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 very quiet crimes all the time, or actively trying to avoid interaction with the cops. There needs to be a balance there, obviously, and we want our cops to be able to have that balance as well, and we've been working with that for quite a while to try and make sure that the cops feel more balanced, but we do need to make sure that there's also a visible crime presence on the server. Petty crimes or even loud crimes, that there's still an involvement capability for the police. So remember that when you guys are out doing your crime. Leave scenes, leave anonymous 911s. If you guys are not familiar with that mechanic, it's the /911A. It will send an anonymous 911 to all active members on dispatch, which means it will not have your name, it will not have your phone number, it will just say anonymous call, and it'll read it out. And then you can say, a local pedestrian or a witness or a security camera or whatever. It provides more additional role play to the investigative side of the cops or medical personnel who are showing up, so they're not just left high and dry when they show up to a scene and there's nothing. Like we had a cat alert, we show up and there's nothing there. So don't forget to use those 911 anonymouses. It's not an abuse to use those. If your character's name wouldn't be involved because they're not calling themselves in, use the 911 anonymous because it will work just as well and it provides more role play, and it doesn't necessarily hand you over on a silver platter either. Obviously, like I said before, we don't want to always have you guys throwing yourselves at cops. That's not fair to criminals. It's not fair to cops either because it's boring. But it is okay to lose and get caught for those RP interactions. At the very least, interact with them. Maybe you don't get caught. Maybe you just get interviewed. Maybe you get questioned. Maybe you get fingerprinted. Maybe you get frisked, but you don't get searched. There's a lot of avenues beyond just instant loss. Obviously, we're as far as prison roleplay goes in the future, we have plans for that. So right at this exact moment, we understand that prison's a little drab right now, but you can still meet people up there. But just be prepared that in the future that is going to change. It is okay to be loud. Obviously, we have players who are trying to be more ghost-like in criminal fashion, and we get that. But it is okay to be loud. It is okay to make noise on the server as a criminal. I can tell you from a staff standpoint, the tools and items that we brought in for criminals to get their hands on are actually going to start in the opposite direction. You're not going to have initial access to little tiny things you're going to be able to hide on your person as easily. You're going to have big shit that's not easy to hide. We want players to have a more active... like if we're going to have combat, we want there to be less like, oh, I can just tuck it in my shirt and I can get away from everything. So I'm not going to say what or any details, but just be prepared that we want you guys to be loud as criminals and make a scene and be known for like, oh shit, that's the crew that did this, or that's the crew that shot up that building or whatever. We want a city that's full of immersive criminals just as much as we want a city full of immersive civilians. Okay, LEO and EMS character interactions. So this is the other side of this coin. So obviously as criminals, that's kind of what we're hoping to see, and we've seen a lot of it already. We're just kind of encouraging you guys in those directions. But the other side of this coin is the LEO and EMS side of it. We want to let you guys know from because obviously I'm LEO command, and we have T's in here who's EMS command, and obviously other staff members who are involved in those command positions currently. We are actively correcting various behaviors in character, or adjusting things in character, or approaching things in character. We're trying to keep it as much in character as possible. So from the civilian and criminal side of it, be aware that we are actively monitoring things, we are actively being involved in things, and we're trying to make sure that it's not just criminals getting fucked left, right, and center. So just so you guys are aware of that. But to my LEO and EMS players, EMS, like obviously you guys are involved in the same dispatch system as LEOs, and we did that on purpose. We did that for a reason, and we're not planning on changing that. But EMS, you guys don't need to be whistleblowers per se. You don't need to be calling in every single call that comes in. If it's something major or dangerous and 100% your character be like, I need to call this in, this is a big deal, call it in. 100%. Call it in over radio, alert your fellow police players and let them know, hey, there's something big going down. But if somebody happens to boost a car in front of you or jaywalk or run a red light, you don't need to call LEOs for that. Let the criminals have their moment there, and if they get caught, they get caught. But there's no reason for EMS to step on LEOs' toes that way. LEOs, we've been working with the LEOs pretty much since day one on balancing out what charges to apply when and how. Our penal code is written in a very specific fashion to allow for a lot of wiggle room with our cops so that they don't have to stick you with everything. You can drop certain charges. You can adjust certain charges here and there. We also have a reduction system that's perfectly applicable. And so, we've been trying to, over the course of these past few weeks, encourage our cops to be mindful of what charges they're hitting these criminals with and when, so that you guys aren't getting screwed for the smallest infraction. Along with that, we want to encourage our LEOs across the board that it's okay to give warnings. It's okay to give a slap on the wrist. It's okay to just seize belongings and hit with a fine and let them go. You have a lot of wiggle room. You're not going to get yelled at in or out of character for not giving someone a ticket when they ran a red light, or for not, arresting someone because you technically had grounds to do so. It's up to officer discretion almost 99% of the time. As long as you are not a cadet where you are being instructed by an FTO, and even still, if you're in phase 2 and higher, you have a lot of say in what happens because you are primary. But to all the other cops, that when you guys are actively doing your role play, you have a lot of wiggle room. We have a lot of power as LEOs. We have a lot of abilities that other players don't have, and so we need to be very mindful of that. We need to be very careful with that and be respectful to our fellow role players, that we are not here to screw their role play over. We're not here to be the fun police, and we're not here to stifle them to the point where out of character they are frustrated, because then it becomes a bigger issue. I kind of jumped around on my notes. But yeah, basically that kind of ties into what the last point here. We want there to be role play around the departments and around the players. We don't want it to just be, bad guy, good guy, you get caught, I win, and that's the end of it. We want there to be give and take. We want there to be rapport built between the cops and the crims. We want there to be story that's being built, not just criminal sees cop car and goes, fuck, and then thinks their fun's over and leaves. Like, we don't want that. But just basically overall be mindful, EMS and LEO, of your roleplay and how you are affecting the criminal side of things. Because again, as LEO and EMS, we have a lot of power. We have a lot of tools that other players don't have. So be mindful of that. Moving on to the next point. So we're constantly updating our guidelines and our rules to make sure that it is best suitable to the server. If you guys have not recently read the guidelines or the server rules, I would highly recommend that you do so. Recently, we, form of transparency, we discovered that there was a discrepancy in our rules, that there was an outdated version that was visible to you guys. It wasn't massive, but there were a few little discrepancies on there. We've since corrected that. The current rule set is what's visible to you guys, so I would highly recommend you guys skim over them when you have a chance. But just be aware that they are there's sometimes being changes that are happening there, so we'll let you guys know when that happens, but just refamiliarize yourself. So another thing that was along with guidelines is characters who are kind of based off of IRL or fictional characters. Inspiration is great. If you're taking like a vibe of a character from a TV show, movie, comic book, content creator, whatever, inspiration is great. We love having an inspiration as a starting point, but direct names, imagery, backstory, not okay. We definitely want you guys to be original with your ideas. It's okay, like I said, to take an inspiration, but don't just carbon copy somebody and run with it, because that can create issues. One of the issues is you might have a duplicate. Let's say, for example, you've got two people who want to play a Pee Wee Herman style character, and they literally name him Pee Wee Herman, and two players show up, have no concept that the other person's made that character, and they bump into each other, and they go, wait a minute, I'm Pee Wee Herman. No, you're Pee Wee. Wait, what? And it creates an issue that could spill over into out of character, as well as it's an entity that two of them don't exist. Yeah, Galaxy Mom's meme just summed it up with the point. And with, no, wait, So there's that issue. But also the other issue is if you go too far with that level of imagery and backstory and direct grabbing from an either fictional or IRL entity, it can put you, the player, or even more so the server, at risk of some sort of remediation from that group, entity, company, person, whatever, because we're copying a likeness that may be trademarked, or it probably is trademarked. So be mindful of that. It's okay to use inspiration. Please don't carbon copy things that are real. or a character that's real. As a guideline moving forward, we are going to require, because we've had some instances of this sort of happening already. If you have a character that might be bordering on that line and you're not sure, please open a ticket with us and then discuss it with staff, and we can either work with you to kind of hone it to better fit the server, or we can tell you that maybe it's not the best fit, or however the conversation goes out. But please bring that to us first so that we can. Oh my gosh, Jay, I just read that. So that we can read it and talk with you about it before you jump into the server and already start that roleplay. I know that the adage is better to ask for forgiveness than permission. Not here. We really appreciate if you guys ask permission, or at least try and communicate with staff first. And then, because at the very least, we might just be able to help you make it better. At the most, we might have to help you, hone it to better fit through the server rules. But who knows? Maybe you'll have an idea that we're like, oh my gosh, this is a great idea. We can help facilitate this in XYZ, and we can make it even better for you, and it's 10 times better. So please make sure you open a ticket before playing those characters. I already kind of talked about self-reporting 911s, but I'll just kind of go over it again. If you guys are going to be committing a crime that may or may not have an automatic mechanical alert tied to it, and you're not sure, like if you're not 100% sure, 110% sure that what you're doing is going to trigger an alert with the cops, call 911. Whether you're calling in yourself because your character would for some reason, or it's an anonymous 911 from a local or an alarm or a security camera that would alert the cops to your presence or your violation of that crime, please make sure you're doing that. Our server does have a lot of mechanics already established, but some things don't exist. Like, for example, trespassing on government properties, like big government properties. Those don't have an automatic alert that shows up for obvious reasons. So if you're going to be trespassing on Mission Row, like actually trespassing, not just walking in, but legitimately trying to trespass in Mission Row or Pillbox or Zancudo or LSIA Airport, any one of the other police departments, if you're going to be trespassing there more than just like driving through or something, you're actually going to be there. Make sure you're self-reporting, please. Obviously we don't want you guys to be handing yourselves over to silver platters, but if it's an action that would result in a 911 call, we ask that you guys please respect that role play, especially if there's no mechanical alert tied to it. And like I said, if you're not 100% sure, if you're 99% sure, still call it in. Because I would rather, as a cop, speaking as staff and cop, I would rather see 2 911 calls come in for the same call than none at all. Next up, all of you guys have been blowing us away with your creativity. Seriously, some of the ideas you guys have been coming up with have been phenomenal. It's been really cool to see these original and creative ideas come forth and see people try new things and be creative. We will ask that if you have an idea that may be bordering on what is allowable in the server, or maybe bumping up against server rules, or just maybe questionable, please open a ticket with us first and discuss it with us before bringing it into the game automatically. Again, kind of the whole concept of, here we don't really appreciate ask for forgiveness, not for permission. We would prefer and appreciate if you guys come to us first, because there have been instances so far where people are, nothing egregious, but there's been situations that have popped up where players have kind of danced on that line of what's allowed in the server, and it would have been something we could have curbed at the beginning if the conversation had happened first. So we want to make sure that happens, because again, it may be a situation of us telling you, well, let's change here and here to make it fit within sort of the rules, but we also might be able to actually help you do what you're doing on the front end, rather than you getting frustrated or you getting in trouble for breaking a rule and not realizing it or not being aware of it. So if you're ever concerned or even think for a second that a character idea or a server idea might cross a line, might bump into a server rule, please open that ticket and start the conversation with us first. Pacing. So you guys know we are all about pacing here. We are a story-focused server. Pacing is very important to us, and we love seeing it from our players actually taking time to play out stories. The slow burn is amazing. That being said, we want to continue to encourage you guys to be patient and let story take its time and take its pace. As I said before at the beginning of the meeting, we've only been live for about a month or so, give or take, maybe month plus 2, month plus 1. So we definitely want you guys to be patient. Like, you may guys have these amazing ideas or maybe doing something and be like, well, it's not happening right away. We're only a month in. Stories take time. We don't want to bum rush stories and speed run our way through our RP stories, because then it's not as satisfying to yourself or the players involved, and it's over in a flash and no one even knows what happened. So whether that's a member of a gang you're trying to jump in, or conflict between a group or players, or you're building a reputation in the city as a criminal or even as a civilian, these things take time. They may take a long time to build up, which is good. That is okay. It is okay to have some down days because your story is slowly building over time. Don't get discouraged. Don't get frustrated. If you guys are discouraged or frustrated and it's legitimate, please come talk to staff because we will try and help in any way we can. But also be mindful of the fact that we are a new server with a smaller pop, and this will take time. Not to mention we are a slow burn server and we're not trying to bum rush everything. So just keep that all in mind when you're doing your stuff. Along with this would be medical encounters. We understand that med RP is not for everyone. We get that, especially if you're like injured from a local or scuff. But it is important to at least respect what has happened. So, for example, if you've already roleplayed with your medic, like let's say you're down and you're roleplaying with a medic and you've already RP'd that you broke your arm, or even worse, let's say you broke your leg and your leg is shattered and you can't walk and they have to transport you to the hospital. They get you over there, you do the med RP with them, and then 30 seconds later you're up and running around outside the pillbox. My question to you be, well, did you respect the medical RP? Like, we're not asking that you lay up all day in the hospital or that you sit for hours doing /me's, but if your leg's busted, at least maybe have a /me of your legs in a cast, or maybe you have one of the hobbles, like one of the walks that slows you down, or maybe you just walk instead of run. Just whatever sort of medical things happen to your character, we ask that you please try and respect those, because that is part of pacing. That is letting what happened play out. Now, obviously, if there's AI injuries, we're not going to hem you up on that. Like, if you've been injured by an AI, as long as you're respecting the RP with the EMS and you're giving them the roleplay they deserve, then, no issues. But if you are RPing with them and you go from, well, I got injured, oh, now I suddenly have, I'm in a coma for whatever reason. But then 30 seconds later, when they bring you to a pillbox, you're out and walking around. Even though it was an AI injury, you still need to respect your own roleplay that you put in onto the injuries you gave to the medics. Player injuries obviously are a different story. If you are going to be having combat or there's injury that's imposed from another player, that's a whole different ballgame, because that injury was inflicted on you by another player. Therefore, it needs to be respected even more, and the pacing and timing probably needs to be a little more slowed down. If there's like a conflict between two violent characters and one downs the other, respect the fact that the other player beats you and that you're probably going to need to rest up for a bit. We obviously are never going to force perma people. We're never going to push you guys to perma your characters. We're not like that here. We obviously love permas. Permas are great, but we're never going to force you to do it. But if you're damaged and you're down by another player, respect the fact that you were injured by them. That's part of their story just as much as it's part of yours. Okay. That is those. Riggsy, you had some things you wanted to talk about, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll let you take it from here.
All right. Hi, everybody. It's the dude that sits here and codes this fucking server all goddamn day long. But the couple things that I wanted to talk about is one of them being drug sales. The current system that we're using was never the end goal intention. And after seeing how it's being conducted on the server, I kind of ramped up how fast I wanted to get the new system out, because quite frankly, I'm not a fan of it. I don't think it has a good balance. I think that it shafts cops, and it makes selling drugs just feel like a constant grind. If criminals are grinding a mechanic and there's a near impossible chance of cops catching them, then it's not really fun for either party, in my opinion. And I play both a criminal and a cop on the server, so trust me, I've seen both ends. This isn't me being biased towards one. This is me trying to reach a compromise and a balance that's fun for both groups. So, a little bit of kind of a foreshadowing of what the new mechanic's going to look like. It's going to be more corner selling focused than it is going to be riding around the entire city selling to whoever's walking down the street. So that means that you're going to be more in a stagnant location. You're going to be selling out of one spot, so you can kind of RP that you have like a clientele, a group of buyers. Gangs can put people into selling on their turf, because a lot of the spots are going to be on gang turf. So the goal is to kind of create some conflict there, to create some interactions. And like I said, it's also to balance it out so that police actually, have a chance. They get to do investigation. They get and in my opinion, criminal mechanics aren't really enjoyable when there's no stress involved with them. If you're not like even a little bit paranoid while you're doing something, then you're just grinding for money. And if cops don't get to investigate into criminal activity, then I don't think it's enjoyable for them either. So I think it'll lead to more fun. Cops will get to investigate dealers, find distributors. Gangs will get to, put people on their corners, selling their product, stuff like that. Become connects, become plugs, all of that . So that was the first thing. The second thing is in where are my notes? Neon, can you give me like a rough thing of what my second point was?
Materials.
Okay, materials. So yeah, I've had a couple people talk to me, and I've seen some of the questions that are regarding a shortage of material, like materials on the map. Well, I did the math. I looked at every single number, and I can tell you, no, there's not. There's a good chance that it's probably just laziness. There right now for materials, there are 3 mechanics that give out materials. Every single one of them is kind of a random selection of what you're gonna get. But if your go-to way to buy materials is to just post on Twitter that you're buying them, then you're probably not doing it right. So one of the things that we do, because like as you guys know, I play Jackie at Turbos and Tuners. One of the things that we do is we actually will like hire people to go and to either go to the recycling plant or to do something like that. We'll hire you to go do it. We'll buy every single thing that you get. It doesn't matter. It doesn't, because a lot of people have been like, a lot of the mechanics have said like, oh, iron's in a shortage. It's not. But yeah, we will buy every single metal that you have. We're not just looking for one. We'll hire you to work like, you know, a couple, like maybe like 10 IRL minutes in there, bring everything back, and we'll buy all of it. If you didn't get any iron, I don't really give a fuck. But that's kind of how we done it. Just get creative with the way that you go about purchasing things. It's not everybody is just going to read, like when you post an ad on Twitter, my immediate reaction is when I see it and go, oh, somebody's buying this, I go, okay. Do I have this? No. And then I move on. But if somebody hires me to go get it, then I'm more likely to come back with what they want, right? So there's not a shortage of materials. Trust me, I've looked at all the math from every single angle to actually figure out if there was a shortage, and then also talked to a lot of the people that deal in these to also, you know, see if this was true. So those are the 2 things for me. Expect the big drug overhaul, like probably in the next couple days, either maybe today, maybe tomorrow. Honestly, it's done. It's pretty much done. So I just got to get some numbers right, and then we'll be good to go on it.
Cool deal. Along with drug RP, remember that. How do I put this? The system that is in place currently, again, this is Band-Aid because of the not Band-Aid. It's not the overall long-term system for drugs. The side rigs he's talking about is the selling mechanic, the purchasing mechanic. There are multiple ways in place right now. Remember that the current system for purchasing drugs on the server is designed on purpose. It is not designed to make you go leave the area, come back and purchase more. It's designed to you buy some, you go sell it, you go out and sell all of it, and you come back and buy more. So just for those of you who are buying drugs, that is the current system. Please try and remember that when you're out running around. There's reasons for that. We're not going to get into why, because there's meta behind that and staff and things and whatnot. But there's reasons for those existing things. So just be mindful of that when you're going out selling drugs. Or that. Okay, so I think our notes-wise, that pretty much covers the gamut. Tease, are you still wanting to do Q&A, or are you wanting to pass it off? Because I know you kind of joined late.
I can. I'm just in bed.
That's fine. I can do it.
Because I don't sleep anymore.
You're good.
Okay.
I got it up in front of me. It's fine.
Do we want to cover the forum questions first?
Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. I'm pulling up the form right now. So what we'll do is we will do the form questions first. We have all admins and head dev here, as well as we have our CMs in chat that we can pull in for voice if needed. For those of you who have not seen the form, I'm going to turn it off right now because we're getting into this. The form questions, we did require a name, but the name is only read if you indicated it you wanted it to be read as such. And then once we do the form questions, if you guys have last-minute questions in the community meeting chat, we can discuss things there. So we're going to go ahead and dive in. The first one we have, this wasn't, the player did want this one, their name read. So this is from Tyro. And it says, let me prefix this by the way, we haven't read these. So like we've skimmed over like some of them, but we haven't actually read the questions. This is the first time we're reading them as a team. So Let me prefix this by saying I appreciate the huge amount of work you guys are putting into the server, but I do have an important question that I believe each staff member should answer for themselves, and not necessarily now, okay? Do you have enough time away from the server, truly away, so not on the server doing any dev work or reading the Discord, to make sure your mental health stays in check? And while we're at it, everybody in the community, answer it for yourself as well. Love you all. Okay, well, I can't answer that. I can't answer that because I know life. No, I'm kidding. I don't know how to properly answer that question, but I appreciate the huge support from you guys for sure. Tyrope, thank you for that mindfulness of our mental health, because it is definitely something that we're trying to focus on. In fact, actually, it's funny, this is actually popping up now. Staff had a like a night away from the server last night where we just kind of separated for a little bit, and we just hung out as a staff team and got drunk and played a bunch of video games, and it was great.
Fuck Kai, by the way.
Yeah, fuck Kai. That's been established. But we we did take a little bit of time to ourselves and just kind of hung out and just kind of de-stressed a little bit, which was immensely helpful. Next question we have, the person did not want this one read. So, is there anything being done about the serious lack of iron in the city? Oh, this one was already addressed by Rigsy, talking about lack of materials. So he's already addressed this in his previous answer, so we'll move on to the next one. Let's see. Here we go. Player did not want this one read. Is it possible to have the camera thing that you have when you're buying clothes so that you can zoom in and focus on specific body parts when you're getting a tattoo? I feel like it is really hard to see what the tattoo looks like sometimes, especially on the legs.
No.
I don't think so.
Short answer, no.
Yeah.
The tattoo shop uses a completely different creator base than the character creator / the clothing store creator. So the unfortunately getting that UI would require me to completely 125% rewrite how tattoos are handled right now. It's something that maybe can be done in the future, but as of right now, no, it's not going to happen, unfortunately. Sorry about that.
Yeah, Dash brought up a good point. Can other people see tattoos? Bring a friend. Yes, they can. They can see them. Just like closing, it's instantly changed, and it just locks when you hit enter. It is visible to yourself and anyone else in the room. So short-term answer, use a friend, have them come with you and look at it, make sure it's visible, make sure it looks right. You can fully pan your camera all the way around, which is great. It doesn't lock you to one angle. But currently, we don't have a capability of doing that. But that doesn't mean we can't look into it in the future, but for now, that's the case. Next question. Player did not want their name read. This is not a question. This is exactly what it says. Not a question, more of a comment via what I've seen. I know a lot of people come from servers where they're RP'd together. They're bringing a quote, new character this server has never met. For example, PD transfers. There are cops who cop together elsewhere except here on OSRP. They're playing like they've never met before. It's two people meeting for the first time. From the outside looking in, there's a level of comfort that is, well, being meted. Laughing and joking, pranking, being disrespectful, joking towards each other when their characters met for the first time 10 minutes ago. Your strangers act like strangers. It's immersion breaking. I get why it happens. People are excited to play with their friends again, but it puts me and my characters and anyone else who didn't come from the same previous server at a serious disadvantage in the relationship building. I put weeks of effort into the department, and this person came in 20 minutes ago and is already buddy-buddy with everyone, and it has nothing to do with the roleplay they've done on OSRP. It's all OOC feelings being meted. Nobody likes clicks in RP and kind of feels like that in a sense. I know this isn't a question, but it's worth bringing up. Everyone can use a good reminder about it. Y'all are doing a damn good job. I'm so happy with the quality of the RP. Quality with the community and the roleplay I see on a daily basis. I'm sorry this feels nitpicky, but I'd rather say something than not say something at all. You guys rock. This is a fucking amazing place to roleplay, and I feel privileged to call it home. That's a lot of words. So firstly, thank you for the kind words at the end there. That's much appreciated. I'm glad you're enjoying yourself. I'm glad that we're holding up to the standard you guys are expecting. That being said, about the cops coming in as transfers, so this applies to all characters coming into the server. If you have a character that's played elsewhere and you bring them to the server, part of our server rules do allow for there to be previous relationships built. It is not against server rules to have a relationship built with another character. The only stipulation is you do need to make sure that both parties are applicable in this, that both parties are consenting in this, that both parties have agreed to this. You can't just walk up to somebody and go, "Hi, I know you. You're from so-and-so. We used to do this." And the other person's like trying to do a fresh start and like, I don't know who you are. So if that's the case, don't just assume somebody's cool with you remembering a previous relationship or story right off the gate. make sure that you guys have already agreed to that, at least it can be literally an in-the-moment DM of like, hey, are you cool if we remember each other? Because then they go, yeah, no problem. Then you roll with it. If not, then you need to change it. That does not apply to bringing over an entire story continuation from another server. We do ask that you guys start, that you build your stories here. You can use influence from other stories. Like a lot of us have used influence of previous roleplay from previous servers as like vague stories that happen in their backstory, in their history, but not like a straight continuation of it. We ask that you guys please be respectful of other players doing the same thing, especially if they're starting from the ground up. Now, that being said, moving to the cop side of it, and T's kind of spoke about this here in the community chat. I just saw her posting in there. LEOs are kind of a unique position where there's a lot of story carryover with LEOs. Most of LEOs, especially in our server, I've seen we've been doing a great job, and I really appreciate our cops for how they've been playing this. But a lot of cops will bring in influence, especially if it's a continuation cop from other servers, of like, oh yeah, I remember working this one case, and they don't say names, they don't say details, but they talk about a story that happened to their character, and that's okay. That sometimes translates to cops that have worked with each other. I don't believe it puts anyone at a disadvantage because, for example, a character that has been on the server for a couple of weeks has been building that roleplay on the server with the characters for the past couple of weeks, and that's amazing. It's great. That story is still being built. It doesn't discredit or wipe clean or ignore the story that's already being built. It's just this person that's coming in brand new isn't having to feel like they are the outcast of the new guy coming into the department that's already established. Some may do that. Some may come in as a completely fresh new face, and they're starting from the ground up, and they want to have that awkwardness and that build up, maybe that tension that's built between two people who are now working together and have to rely on each other to keep each other safe, but they have no idea who each other are. On top of that, there is the other aspect of this. This is a video game. Yes, obviously, this is a roleplay environment. We're telling stories, and we are taking this very seriously, and we have our rules set for that reason. But the other side of that is we are a bunch of people playing video games where we're just a bunch of geeks and nerds who like to hang out and do this weird stuff called roleplay. So some of that may be where the characters sort of become a little more chummier a little bit quicker because the players know each other and they already have that rapport built of specific humor or specific banter. That's okay, as long as there's that line established. So as long as, for example, using LEOs as an example, let's say if an LEO come in, they're transferring as an officer first class, and their lieutenant or their sergeant or their commander or whatever, it gives them an order. If the players are out of character friends and they go, I'm not going to listen to that. He's just so-and-so. I used to work with him and blah, blah, blah. And he completely discredits the fact that you outrank him. That's where it becomes an issue. That is using your OOC friendship as a privilege, as a negation to the actual roleplay that's been established of he is your commanding officer, you need to listen to him. As long as that relationship is still established, as long as the characters are still respecting the hierarchy, respecting the roleplay, respecting the characters, that's less of an issue. But moments of banter and silliness are perfectly, like for the example, the other day, we pulled out the Bearcat to respond to one call because we had a bunch of officers who it was kind of a slower night. We were all standing around and we had a new cop on duty. So we included everybody in this weird role play of us basically responding to a single call in a Bearcat just for the humor of it. Those moments happen. It doesn't mean it's always going to be that way. It doesn't mean that all the players are always going to have that mentality, but I would say don't let this discourage you too much that a new player comes in and you can see there's like already kind of a banter being established or kind of a relationship already being built. Don't let that's between them. Don't let that influence you and your character and your role play because it's two separate things. And if you start to notice patterns where maybe you're getting pushed out, even like from an out of character level or something like that, please either reach out in character to your command or reach out of character to staff if something is genuinely wrong and genuinely going too far, because then we need to step in either command standpoint or a staff standpoint. But as long as it's everyone's still being included, everyone's still being allowed to do their role play, and nothing's being negatively impacted, let it play out in character and see how it goes. Next question we have. Player did not want their... Man, you guys don't want your names read. I'm not reading this because I know who it's from and they're being silly. The next one was... Okay, this one is from Ion. It's, again, not a question. It says, y'all are adorable. Thank you for the hard work. Runs off. Okay. All right. Thank you, Aeon. See, do we actually have legit questions here? All right. I think this is a legit question. I think so it is. This is from, this player did want their name right. This is from CMAC, I think. Is there scope for a suggestions Discord ticket or Google form? I'm probably blind and stupid and it already exists, so apologies. I have a few suggestions, feedback, ideas that would get lost in the general chat, but I don't want to open up an actual mod ticket as you guys are busy enough. I appreciate the understanding that we are busy. All of you guys have been great with that. We really appreciate that because we are. As far as suggestions and feedback, We've sometimes if it's a bigger thing, if it's a very important feedback of like, hey, this is kind of a big deal. It's not necessarily a bug, but it's kind of game breaking. Here's the situation. Please open a support ticket and bring to us all the information that you have. If it's just a, hey, I don't like this thing. I mean, it's okay to bring it up in Discord, like general or help chat as like a general, like, this isn't my favorite thing, or just voice your concern. But we, at this exact moment, do not have a feedback form. However, that is going to change soon because obviously we do need feedback on things for us to be able to hone stuff. But again, because we're very new in the server's launch and we have a lot of bigger bug-related things we're working on, and a lot of things that are needing a lot of attention just to get them working better for the overall RP experience, we can't afford to be inundated with suggestions and feedback forms right now. We are listening. We have tons of tickets that get opened like daily about all sorts of stuff. So we are listening. We are trying to make adjustments. We are trying to help in any way that we can. Obviously, we're monitoring the server as far as like from a staff perspective all the time. So we see a lot, we hear a lot, we experience a lot, and we're trying to be on it as much as we can. But at this exact moment, we're trying to avoid getting slammed by an onslaught of feedback forms and suggestions. So kind of stay tuned for that one. It will be happening in the future and probably sooner rather than later, but we don't have one at this exact moment. Okay, we have another question. This one is from Yugoshi, and this is regarding playtimes. The never-ending issue of having businesses, LEO, and EMS presence are around something you guys would be willing to consider. Okay, hold on. I'm not really sure. The never-ending issue of having businesses, LEO, and EMS presence around. Something you guys would be willing to consider for the future. Yugoshi, if you're here, can you clarify? Because I don't quite understand the question. It's more of a statement, so I'm not really sure if I'm missing something. I think I saw Yugoshi in here somewhere. I'll let you, if you want to type it in the questions chat. Yeah, for EU and AU time zones. So what is the question?
A lack of presence, a lack of businesses being open.
Yeah, but that's what I'm asking. What's the question? Like, obviously, we're aware of that, but I'm wondering if he's specifically asking something about it. Like, I see him typing, so I'll let him finish typing. Do 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 do. Only reason I'm like waiting is because this is our last Google form question. Then we're gonna move on to the typed up questions in that chat. So that's why I'm waiting, guys. So bear with while Yugoshi types. Any considerations for Academy for LEOs to fill that time getting? Okay. I see what you mean. Yes. Absolutely. So as far as Academy is concerned, we aren't doing anything with LEOs in that Academy bracket because we need to get our current cadets finished. We've actually been having discussions with our cadets recently regarding some disappointment and frustration regarding getting FTO times and getting training times and everything. So we're trying to hone that because the issue that we're at with LEOs is we're a new server, so we're trying to learn all these new mechanics and all these new penal codes and all these new processes on a new server for everybody. But we're also now then trying to teach that same material to 5 cadets. So we need to make sure that our cadets are either in a better place or all the way to Officer 1 before we take on the next group. But that has been a discussion amongst LEO command as well as staff on trying to get and encourage AU and EU time zones to come in and help in those slots because we do have a pretty good EU presence on the server. We don't have a lot of EU cops. So we're hoping that we can help kind of fill that. No, you're good, Yugoshi. I appreciate you clarifying. As far as businesses is one of those things where if you have a business idea, please bring it to us. If you have a business you want to manage in the city, you can open a ticket with us. We've had several players reach out to us about various businesses already, like this week. Some of them are very easy to implement because we already have the logic and the code for it. Others take time. Others require things we don't have. But we're always willing to have that discussion. And we're always willing to open those doors if we can. So if you guys have ideas and you have things you guys would like to try in that realm, especially EU, AU time zones, come to us, talk with us, and we'll do what we can to make that happen. Because, yeah, we want to see those times flourish just like any other time zone.
Also, if you manage a business, try to consider hiring people who are in time zones outside of yours just to help with coverage.
Yep, exactly. Okay.
I can move on to the chat questions if you like.
Yeah, I was
actually got it.
I was just moving over to those. I mean, do you want to read them from your phone or how do you want to do it?
I'm cool with that unless you want to solo tank it. I don't, whichever works easiest.
I don't mind solo taking since you're on your phone because that's probably a little frustrating to bounce between chats.
It's not,
Okay.
but go
Yep.
for it.
Okay, cool. All right, let's see. Okay, so we're gonna start with I think this is CMAX is the first one. Is there plans to change how your time left in prison works when you're offline? At the moment, with limited prison RP, it kind of defeats the purpose standing AFK in a prison after getting done or bored. 1 second.
I mean, I can answer it really quick.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, there is. There is a. I just need to figure out how to do it, which is kind of the answer to a lot of questions.
Also,
Yeah.
there is a way in prison when you're on the server to reduce your time if you look around the prison yard. So you don't have to stand there for the full time. You can actively get time reduction while you're there.
Yep. And DOJ, like I said before, is planned for the future. We actually already have some of the things implemented and ready. We just don't have the job up and running for several reasons. One of them was lack of interest. When we originally were launching our departments, we kind of put out a feeler. You can even probably see it still in whitelist announcements of like, hey, who's interested in these various roles of role play? And DOJ had no interest, so we put it on the back burner. But we can change that. One second, guys.
Chris, you can DM me your question if you want, if it wasn't read.
Yeah, hold on, let me.
I'll keep going through these.
Okay. Yeah, actually, if you and Cha Cha can take over, I need to. My mouth just completely dried out.
How will?
Hi, hello, I'm Cha Cha.
Yes.
Hi.
Hi.
How will Weasel Entertainment video be handled when it's live? Will it be utilizing the Rockstar editor? Currently, no. The Rockstar editor will just crash your client and you won't be able to play on the server while you're using it. No, it won't be. Basically, it's going to be pretty similar to the goal is it's going to be pretty similar to mechanics that you've probably seen in the past. You have the camera item. When you use the camera item, it puts the Weasel News overlay on your screen. I don't know if I want to do it that way or not. I don't know if I want to allow people to do the overlay in post. So what I'll probably end up doing is allowing people to do the overlay in post so that they can do both not Weasel News and non-Weasel News stuff with the camera. But yeah, that's going to be how it's going to work. Editor is way too much of a pain in the ass to get working on something where you have multiple people playing on it. It's just that, unfortunately, that's just how it is with that.
Yeah, we also have one of our other sometimes devs, Quartus, he's kind of fiddling around with a couple things for scripts for cameras to see if he can maybe figure something else out that is a little more stable for it. But as of right now, yeah, it's pretty much going to be like Rigsy said, what you've seen in the past. But yeah, we're looking forward to what's going to come with the Weasel.
I got lost. All right, there we go. Would there be any way to have like job guides for the basic civ jobs, recycling center, towing, etc.? Yeah. I mean, I have 1.5 million things that I'm working on. Unfortunately, guide writing is not one of the things on that list. I can talk to staff about writing them, or if somebody in the community wants to write up guides on the civ jobs, I can totally look into something, a way of getting that published for anybody to access. I don't see a problem with that personally. Will businesses be able to change their menus at any point in the near future? Near future, no. Long future, yes. But it'll be something like it won't be like something that like you're overhauling your menu or drastically changing it. If you want to add items or remove items from your menu, then you'll be able to do that. But just like changing your entire menu base every other week, it's too much. It's way more work than you would assume it is, honestly. I loved the visual effect of getting drunk at the VU. Will other substances give such effects? Figure it out in character, man. It's yes. To answer your question, yes. To the some of them are really, really wild. Some of them are really, really tame. You'll just have to figure out which ones give the effects. Any chance of lowering price?
As someone that was there for beta testing of some of these, they some of them are wild.
Any chance of lowering pricing for changing clothes? $50 per time is rough when considering that not having a job, your paycheck is $10. How does $25 sound? All right, cool. Then I'll get that in like today.
Okay, 25 for everybody, but TBS, he gets 50 still.
On the subject of lowering the price thing, is there scope to review the cost of local EMS taking you to Pillbox when there is no EMS LEOs on? Currently stands at $1,000, which seems really high. Note, I understand. Stop dying. Yeah, stop dying, forehead. But the I'll take it into consideration. Because I know that during some time zones there isn't a ton of like state services presence, which is something that we're working on. So I'll take it up with everybody else and see what they say. But once again, it's one of those things that it's completely possible to do that. It's like changing a few numbers around, so it's doable if it's doable if everybody wants it to be done.
Cool. So that's all the ones we have printed there and all the Google Forms. Tease, I know you just hopped out of here, but can you come back, and if you've got any final notes, anything that you'd like to discuss that hasn't already been discussed, as well as CMs, if you guys have anything CMs wise, hop up here in voice, and we'll just kind of go through because we went through this meeting rather quickly, which is great. But if any of the staff members currently have any points they would like to discuss, hop up here and we'll go through them over the next 30 minutes or so. Also, if you guys have any more questions, please drop them in community meeting questions. We can keep going through that. But staff, why don't you guys pop up here and we will go through any last minute talking points that you guys have. I think I have to
Where am I going?
You're staying put.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, no, you're staying put. I'm asking for CMs and T's as the last admin to hop back up here. Hold on a second. There's Mew. Hold on a second. No, she's not last admin. No, that's not what I said. That's not what I said. Marbaka, that's not what I said, damn it.
Wow.
Rude.
Can't believe you did this.
Dude, that's so toxic.
Ugh. She's sleeping still.
Wow,
See,
y'all just throwing me under the fucking bus.
Here,
Yeah.
I'll call her real quick.
She's on mobile, so that's why she's having issues. Okay, so while we're waiting for...
I'm calling Sixie because it's her birthday.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so while we're waiting for Sixie and Tease, do Kai...
Okay,
Kai... Oh, wait, Yoshi had a question?
No.
Oh, okay.
I'm responding to you, Gosh.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, so you guys left here in chat. Do you guys have any talking points or things you've observed recently you guys would like to see discussed, or at least talk about real quick here in voice with the community? Go ahead.
I mean, I can talk a little bit about DOJ. I know the DOJ system for a lot of people is relatively different to how it is elsewhere. The way that I'm trying to do it is it's a fluid system. It's trying to be active. We have lawyers around, so if you're getting caught by the cops, call for a lawyer. You have the right to. I do have documentation out in terms of what you can do. I'm trying to do law school at least once a month. So if you are interested in doing law, if you want to do the bar exam, reach out to me, open a ticket. The form there is to apply for law school as well. If you have any questions about law, open a ticket up and ping me, and I will answer your question about it.
It's been very cool to see an active DOJ, and we're already a month in. I'm not going to lie. It's been pretty dope, even though I was completely overwhelmed by that bench trial. Tease, Blackbeard, Mew, Cha-Cha, do you guys have any talking points you guys would like to discuss or just observations? Okay, Mew, go ahead.
Sixie is awake. So everybody say happy birthday to her again. Very important.
Birthday.
Happy birthday to 60. Oh, there she is. Happy birthday, 60.
Hi.
Hi.
She just woke up.
I just woke up.
Birthday. Oh my god.
But Mew, was that all you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, I think that's the
Oh
most
my
important thing in this whole meeting.
So, Cha-Cha, 60 T's, do you guys have any things you guys have observed on the server, or anything that has not been discussed yet, or final talking points, or anything that you guys would like to bring up, like Kai he did with DOJ? Blackbeard, you as well?
No, I think I mean, for me, I think we covered pretty much everything.
Yeah, same.
Okay.
I would like to say one little thing. I know that Minerva brought it up earlier, but Weasel News coming soon. TM. It's still a work in progress, but soon.
Oh yeah, one thing that I do want to bring up.
Okay, go for it.
All right, so a bunch of people I know have been reporting issues with like visual issues and things like that. While I understand that some of them are our server side, a lot of them are probably going to be tied to, you maybe using an external visual pack. Those are always things like NVE, Quant 5, Reshade, all of that stuff is always and forever going to be used at your own risk. I know that there was a discussion a while back about how they don't cause crashes. They absolutely 150% do cause crashes. You are modding a mod of a mod. So use them at your own risk. If you don't have, like, I would very, 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 very religiously swear by the like system requirements for running visual packs like that. And if you're getting huge visual bugs, feel free to report them. But a lot of the time, unfortunately, it is going to be tied to the optimization of those. So I just wanted to clear that up because I know that there was a discussion about it like about a week ago or so.
Something like that, yeah. Blackbeard, anything that you've observed or anything that you would like to bring up and chat about real quick?
Other than do crimes, man. Like, do crimes. We want crimes.
We do want crimes.
Yeah, I have probably two things.
Go for it. Absolutely.
PDM stuff. PDM, we all learned a couple of nights ago that we had a bad handling file for a vehicle that we were considering bringing into PDM, and it broke the entire server and kicked everybody out. So we understand the feedback and the frustration around PDM mechanics. Why can't I be hired? Why can't I see a list? Why do I have to finance? The system is set up in a very specific way to promote roleplay and also to make things more affordable without you needing to grind. Oh my God, there's a cat clawing me. Without you needing to grind the tens of thousands of dollars in order to get your car immediately. There have been multiple requests from players to see, hey, is there any way that I could see we have for stock? Our stock is currently continuously fluctuating between a slow trickle of getting in vehicles, nothing that I'm sure most of you would expect. We're not bringing in Infernuses, we're not bringing in Tempestas, we're not bringing in all of the big, amazing cars that everyone is requesting. We are 1 month into the server. This is sort of a slow build of you could start with a basic car, maybe a shitty car. You can either upgrade it or you save your money, and eventually through time, maybe 6 months down the line or something, you can afford those really nice other cars as they come into the city. So please, please, please remember pacing also when it comes to vehicles and the assets of vehicles. I think we've all discussed about as far as like what having a like a list of what's available. Right now, we're still actively, like every week, we review almost daily what is our stock, what is our price point, what's the feedback, what's our handling like. So it's still a very active thing that we're working through. So I think a possible list can happen in the future, not anytime soon, because it's going to change almost daily at this point. So just give us some time, have some patience, just work with us, and we can absolutely work with you. The other thing I want to bring up is gang roleplay, Southside roleplay. I am so fucking impressed and happy with the way that people are role playing Southside characters, whether they are in a gang or not in a gang, of just the presence on Southside. It can be quiet at times, but when you see the activity there, it is amazing. What Southside roleplay? You're not looking, Murbaka. Between the way that families and Vagos are run and all of these other groups, it just feels alive. And I say this because I know that each server has its own flavor of gang roleplay, Southside roleplay, and such. And I want to commend the people who are leading these groups because they're not being gross. They're not doing the, you are on my turf, get the fuck out immediately. You are wearing a shirt that is my gang's color, get the fuck out immediately. They're not jumping to gun violence. They are doing a very slow buildup. If you've paid attention to Southside, you will see there's a lot of disrespect going on between multiple crews and multiple sets. And there's a lot of deeper story going on. I know Ion, as LEO, has found a lot of it. So I want to encourage people to continue that slow pacing buildup between the groups. I would love to see more people role playing on Southside and just encourage people to explore the area. Like, it's not the big thing to be afraid of here. And myself and others are definitely keeping an eye on how the pacing is and how the demeanor is. And we understand there could be concerns. Just again, each server is unique and different, and we want it to feel like there is a set pace, there is a set tone, there is a set, so what I'm looking for, vibe to it, but we don't want to chase players away.
I'm going to chime in on the end of that because I can't believe I forgot about Southside Roleplay. Thank you very much for bringing that up because I'm an idiot. Tying into the Southside Roleplay, like T said, we've been really impressed with the way people have been doing stuff, but along with that, there is an element of expectation to what sort of roleplay you're going to bump into when you're on the South Side. So, for example, if you're on a gang's turf, you're probably going and you didn't were like invited down there or weren't asked to come down there. There's a good chance that you're going to get checked. There's a good chance you're going to get rolled up on. There's a good chance that you're going to get some form of maybe conflicting roleplay of why are you here? What are you doing? Especially if you're doing something you shouldn't be doing, like selling weed or running hidden goodies. Like there's all sorts of things you could be doing that would basically make you a threat to that gang. So be aware that that might happen. That doesn't mean they're going to push you right off the block immediately, nor should they. But if the roleplay goes in that direction, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's a bad thing. It means, okay, there's been conflict here. What can we do to go forward with that? Because yeah, like Southside RP is definitely something that is very important to all of us. Southside RP can really create a world around roleplay that you don't normally get to see elsewhere. So that's a big thing for us. I had something I was going to say and I forgot what it was. I had a whole thing and I forgot. It's gone. I will say the couple people have posted some questions since talking in here. I don't know if they've been answered, so I'm just going to quickly zip through these. JLab asked a question regarding groups. Since there's a limit of 5 people per group, if we wanted to figure out, you got that? Oh, you got that one? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And then
Availability to rent dirt bikes, ATVs, absolutely not with dirt bikes. I've developed 4 to 5 servers in my tenure with 5M over the course of, holy shit, 6 years. Every single server that we've allowed rental on for dirt bikes ends up not having dirt bikes intended for the use that dirt bikes are intended for, but instead dirt bikes used for the completely opposite course. So no, I'm not gonna let dirt bikes be rented. ATVs is something that we can look into, but no dirt bikes.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Did you already get this last one for Jesse? I didn't read. It's a long question. So.
Yeah, and then on the subject of handle file, is it okay to open up a support tickets about vehicles feeling off or wrong? Yeah, sure, go ahead. I think that I said that a few weeks ago. Yeah, if a car doesn't feel right to you, I know that handling is all personal preference and personal opinion, but yeah, we can take a look at it if you think that something is not how it's supposed to be. And then yeah, in regards to Jesse's question, no, I don't intend to add speed limiters. They
or handling already kind of does that.
They're just and they're just obnoxious. They're obnoxious to code. They're not obnoxious for people. I understand why people like them. They're just really, really obnoxious to code.
Cool. I think that's any other points or topics from the rest of you guys that you guys would like to discuss or talk about? All right. Any last minute questions from the community? Get on the V. Get on. Go to the VU. Have a good time. All right. Cool. So I think that's pretty much it. So we'll probably go ahead and wrap this up. That's actually like record time for the meeting. Look at that. The server is down right now. We'll be bringing it back up shortly. But please do not reconnect to the server until we give you the go-ahead, as there's something that we need to double check on. But then we'll ping you guys when the server is playable. It won't take too long. So that way you guys can play today and not have to sit around waiting, as long as 5M does not do 5M things. Thank you guys very much for coming out. We really appreciate you guys. We hope that you guys are enjoying the server. We appreciate your patience. We appreciate your willingness to kind of work around some of these new server bugs and hiccups. So big thank you to all of you guys. And we've said it before. We're going to say it again. Keep up the great work. We're seriously impressed. We've said it many times privately amongst ourselves and even publicly. You guys are amazing. We love this community. We love what you guys are helping us build here, both in Discord as well as in game. Seriously, you guys are incredible. So thank you very much. Keep it up, and we will continue to do our best from a staff standpoint to help you guys out and make you guys an area you can play in that you have fun with. So thank you guys again, and we'll ping you guys here shortly when you guys can get back on the server. Thank you, guys.